So I will be doing my presentation in English. I hope that's okay. The slides are also in English. When we get to the Q&A, you're certainly welcome to ask questions in Swedish. I will understand it, but I will do the presentation in English. Before I go to the presentation, here's the usual disclaimer saying that I will be making forward-looking statements during my presentation. Saniona is a clinical stage biotech company. We are in the disease areas of psychiatric and neurological diseases. We are listed at Nasdaq in Stockholm. Our market cap today, I just looked before I came up here, the share prices are volatile these days due to the geopolitical situation. Our market cap is today, I think, around 2.2 billion Swedish krona. As you can see at the year end, it was higher, 2.9. The share price was 21 krona. Today it's 16. This compares with when we did the Jazz deal in August last year. The share price was 8 krona, and then it rose since then. It has been higher, as you can see. We have in the recent months seen some short selling and profit taking due to, we expect it due to the significant increase in the share price. And over the recent days, obviously due to the Middle East. Saniona has a very strong cash position. At year end, we had 581 million Swedish krona in cash in the bank. On top of that, I can look into receiving additional funds this year. We expect through our two partner deals with Jazz and Acadia to receive an additional almost 170 million SEK. And we have the option to do a sale and lease back of our headquarters, which we own. That will give us approximately 70 million SEK. So in total, we have 800 million plus krona to progress our three internal programs according to our plan, which I will describe in more details. A few highlights. It is still the beginning of 26, so a few highlights of the year that's behind us, 2025. We did the significant partnering agreement with Jazz in August last year, where they acquired one of our preclinical assets, and they paid an upfront payment of $42.5 million. And the other deal we had from the year before with Acadia, they concluded the phase 1 trial and are now ready to move into phase 2 during 2026. Our other partnership agreements with Astronautics, Boehringer Ingelheim, and Cephagenix, they all progress according to plan. Medix, in our partner in Mexico, they have resubmitted tesofensine to COFEPRIS. COFEPRIS is the Mexican authorities. Discussions are ongoing. We will obviously, when there are material news, update the market about it. Further, as I mentioned, we did acquire the headquarters last year. This, you can ask you, is kind of atypical for a biotech company to use its funds to buy buildings. Indeed it is. Saniona is located in an industrial area which has been laid out, the whole area, to residential area. And all tenants are being moved out as developers move in to build residential condos. We had the option to buy our headquarters to avoid the issue of moving, the disturbance to our operations, the cost of moving, the cost of building new research labs. So we decided to acquire our headquarters. And as mentioned, over the next 10-15 years, the whole area will be residential. So we do expect that the price will increase. Having said that, it also means that we do have the option to make a sale and lease back of the property when we so choose. Right now, we don't have any need for the money, but obviously, when we get to a point where we need funding, this is definitely something for us to consider. Finally, we expanded our organization quite significantly last year, and we will continue to do so in 26. We expect to reach approximately 50 employees by the end of this year. This is derived from us building our clinical development team, enabling us to progress our 3 internal programs into the clinic later this year. Saniona builds on a former company. In the 90s and the zeros, there was the largest biotech company in Denmark called Unauthorized. They were in the CNS space, and in 2012, Saniona acquired all their assets, all their library of molecules, all the data they had. Along with that, most of their research team joined Saniona. So the combination of the backlog, the library, and the data that we have from neuroresearch, along with world-class researchers who has decades of experience within the CNS space, that actually enables us to continuously progress molecules into development. And over the past 4 years, we have moved forward 4 molecules, 3 of them which are currently our internal pipeline, and 1 which we have partnered. This partnership model has provided us, as I mentioned today, with a very strong cash position that enables us to progress our 3 internal programs into clinical trials. Our internal programs are in 2 big disease areas, epilepsy and depression. Epilepsy is a big market. Both of them have a high commercial value, and there is a high medical unmet need. For epilepsy, we see that 30% of patients have a drug resistance and therefore account for more than 80% of all cost to society related to those diseases. For depression, which is a significantly higher market, as you can see here, the total cost related to depression exceeds 100 billion euros within the EU on an annual basis. So we see that more than 50% of total mental health care related cost relates to depression. On top of that, it is a severe disease. It comes with high mortality, and we see that 60% of all suicides relates to depression. This is an overview of our CNS pipeline. We have our 2 partnered programs with Arcadia and Jazz that I mentioned. And then we have our 3 internal programs, SAN 2668 and SAN 2219 in epilepsy, and then SAN 2465 within depression. All of those are at a stage where we are progressing them towards start of clinical phase 1 to be initiated in the second half of this year, by the end of the year, and one of them most likely in the beginning of 27. To build, just showing a slide, talking a little about what is it that we are trying to build at Saniona. So we have our 3 internal programs, and we have secured funding through 2 partner deals to progress them into the clinic. And the plan is to progress all 3 programs into phase 1. At the same time, prepare them at risk for phase 2, meaning doing CMC and tox and production, making them ready for phase 2, and take 1 or 2 of them into phase 2 while making them phase 3 ready. And this is the plan until the next 5 years. So by 2030, our plan is that Saniona will be a clinical company with 1 or 2 products ready for phase 3, 1 new product not announced yet, probably in phase 1, and then with some preclinical assets. I show here some comparisons of companies that were in the same space as us, CNS, and that were acquired in 2024. Longboard, a US company, they had 1 asset, 1 molecule in epilepsy, in pediatric epilepsies. They had a phase 2 study in 52 patients where they did a basket trial, meaning that they did a trial in a number of severe pediatric epilepsy diseases with positive data. Lundbeck acquired this company with one asset, phase 2, for $2.6 billion US. As I mentioned, our market cap today is approximately 2.2 million SEK, or 200 million US dollars. Our one product, SAN 2668, resembles very much, I'll get back to that, the longboard drug they have here. But that is not, as I mentioned, the vision for Saniona by 2030. It is to build a broader pipeline, much more in line with what you see in Karuna and Cerevel, when then were acquired by BMS and AbbVie in 2024. So that is the plan, that is the aim for us, to develop Saniona into a similar company. If we just briefly talk about our two partnered programs. The first, ACP711, in November of 24, we partnered that with Acadia. It was a phase 1, ongoing phase 1, when they acquired it. Since then, phase 1 is completed with demonstrating safety and tolerability, and Acadia are getting ready to move into phase 2 during this year. In 24, they paid $28 million US upfront. When they move into phase 2, we will receive an additional milestone of $10 million US expected later this year. Total deal values are approximately $150 million in development milestones and $435 million in commercial milestones. The Jazz deal that we made August last year, that was a preclinical asset, and Jazz paid, as I mentioned, $42.5 million US upfront. Total deal value is approximately $1 billion US, 192 million in development and 800 million in commercial milestones. We expect that they will move into phase 1 later this year, and that will give us an additional $7.5 million US. Hence, in the beginning, I mentioned that approximately 170 million Swedish krona we will receive in milestones payments during this year as those two partners' programs progress further into the clinic. Here's just an overview of the total deal flow. Mentioned, should they go all the way, $1.6 billion US, and tiered royalties, low double-digit, single-digit royalties. Importantly to state about those two deals is that besides the significant value, the significant cash we have received, it validates our technology, it validates what we are doing, and we are hearing from investors and also from pharma companies that those two deals have put us on the radar, that two significant companies have made those deals at high prices. So the validation should not be underestimated. Touching on our 3 internal programs, they are all GABA programs, as you can see here. GABA is the main inhibitory signal within the brain, and it comes in 5 subtypes, A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they work in different ways. They work in different areas of the brain, and that means that they come with different benefits and also with different side effects, some quite significant. The most used drugs, families of drugs, is the benzodiazepines, who works really good, but the problem is they have significant side effects. This is because they target, they are not selective, so they also target, if you look over here, they also target the GABA A1 receptors. which you kind of want to avoid. You want the benefits, the green one. You want seizure control. You can affect anxiety, well-being when we talk depression, the feeling of happiness, and also pain. The side effects are, and this is a general problem, is that you see sedation, you see cognitive impairment, and you see a significant abuse liabilities, which is obviously a huge issue. All of them driven by the GABA A1. I'll get more into this. So it's important to develop selective drugs, which is what we're doing and which I will be presenting. Our clinical plan path forward is for the 3 programs. All 3 of them, we will, as I mentioned, initiate phase 1 by the end of this year, early next year. We will have readout, phase 1 readout for all 3 programs in the second half of 27. This is important to mention because our current funds, the 800 million kroner I mentioned, they will sustain operations expected with our current execution plan into the second half of 28, meaning that we can self-fund the 3 phase 1 programs and also have data readout. What we cannot do is, with the 2030 plan vision I mentioned, we cannot fund all the way into 2030. There we will need additional funds in the amount of 60 to 100 million US dollars. This can come from doing a partner deal on one of the programs here, similar to the Jazz and Arcadia. That will give us some upfront payments. It can come from additional milestones payments from the 2 deals, Jazz Arcadia, and we can do a directed issue towards big institutional investors, getting some anchor investors into the company, or a combination of all 3. We can also do. What's important is we don't have any imminent need to secure additional funding. Quickly, SAN 2668 is in pediatric epilepsies. As I mentioned, it's for kids. It is a selective GABA A2, A3 modulator, which is as efficacious, if not more, than the benzodiazepines. But since it's selective, you don't see the significant side effects on sedation, cognitive impairment, and potential abuse liabilities. We will start in a disease ESES, which is a severe epilepsy in kids, which is disabling for them, and the kids end up in homes. We do have the option to, the aim to do expand it into a basket of DEEs, similar to, as I mentioned, to what Longboard did. We are in discussions with KOLs and authorities on the design of this. So this is a very potent molecule that has a significant potential within epilepsy in the area that we saw Longboard also addressing. Here, the graph over here, it compares with benzodiazepine. Here's diazepam, a drug there. It goes up to 100. It's important to say that the benzodiazepines, as I said, they had the side effects. So they cannot dose higher than approximately 20%, because then the patients will be completely sedated. As we don't have the same side effects, we can't dose higher. And you can hear here that the GABA A3, the blue one, goes up very high. So we have a very potent anti-seizure effect here, similar with the GABA A2. We also see additional anti-seizure control on the GABA A1, but it's low, so we don't expect to see any significant side effects on sedation. There might be a little sedation, but that is acceptable in the pediatric areas because the diseases here, ESUS, is something that the kids have when they are asleep, so they will need the medications when they are supposed to sleep anyway. Here is the clinical plan for SAN 2668. So in phase 1, we will do several things. We will look for EEG biomarkers. You can see that the patients is healthy patients in phase 1. They get the helmet on, and thereby we can measure the various brain waves when we administer the drug. Similar, we will do PET scans of the brain, which will give us receptor occupancy and help us to select the right dosing when we move into phase 2, which is in patients. If you look in phase 1, just below, there's a blue box, photosensitivity. We have the option, and we most like do this, in parallel with the phase 1 in healthy patients. We can do a small study in sick patients, the photosensitivity. It is known that if you flash a light into the eyes of epilepsy patients, it will you can measure the specific brain waves start in the brain, which will eventually cause a seizure. So what we'll do here is that we will do that, flash the light, and monitor the brain waves, and then we will administer one dose of our drug to see how it works against the brain waves. The patients, we will stop the patients, don't get seizures, but it gives us significant information about how the drug works in patients, actually prior to starting any phase 2. So this is a very strong early signal that we get here. SAN 2219, this is also in epilepsy. This is in focal epilepsies. This is adults typically who have that. That is the most common, the usual one where you get seizures during the day. This is a significant market. It is again a GABA A2A3 modulator. Again, similar to the benzodiazepines, but without the side effect profile. Here we see that 30% of patients remain uncontrolled despite getting 2, 3, 4 known medications in combination. So there is a significant unmet need here. We believe that SAN 2219 in itself can address this, but we see in data that SAN 2219 have a significant synergetic effect. So our belief is that we may be able to specifically address this 30% of the market where there is no treatment available today for those patients. Here, showing the same graph again, you can see the alpha 2 and 3, it spikes there. Importantly, you can see that GABA A1, the red one, is flat. So no side effects here. This is important as we're talking about adult people who work. So sedation is a problem, cognitive impairment is a problem, and so you don't want sedation because then you're not allowed to drive. You would like to drive to get around. Cognitive impairment, you want to be able to do your daily stuff and maintain your job and work abilities. This is the same again. This is similar how we will be doing the phase 1 study. Finally, quickly, 2465 in depression. This is a GABA A5 modulator. It is for fast onset mechanism. We see that 30% of patients do not respond to standard of care. Importantly, standard of care takes typically 6 to 8 weeks before you have the full effect, which is a huge problem as we're talking about sick patients who are at high risk of committing suicide. So you want something that works fast, like esketamines. Here you have the graph showing that it is a negative, so it is a GABA A2 negative modulator, which targets specifically the GABA A5 in the brain. And it works very well. So does the ketamines. Just to show how it is. So it is known that by targeting in hippocampus, that's where emotions, feelings are. If we can increase the activity in hippocampus, then you get more joy. You get more well-being. That's what the ketamines can do. Works very well, very fast. The problem is that it hits all the GABAs in the brain. So hippocampus is the small area down here. That's what you want to target. So the ketamines, they also do that. But you can see the entire brain lights up, so you have the massive side effects and abuse liabilities. With our drug, highly selective GABA-A5, GABA-A5 is solely represented in hippocampus. So if you target that, which we're doing, then you can see that we can target specifically hippocampus. With that, good work for Q&A. Thank you.
So we don't have a lot of time, but I think we'll make some time for 2 questions here. Saniona has a lot of several programs in neurological diseases. How do you prioritize between those projects?
So yes, well, so we certainly have our internal favorites. For sure we do. And it also looking at what is the commercial value, what is the options there. So 2668 is a very potent molecule, it seems like, and it is a molecule where we can probably progress it quite far ourselves. Similar 2465 in depression is also really good, and we can progress it. Let's be honest, we get phase 3 studies in depression. That is really big, costly studies to be done. And in reality, company like Saniona, we can take it until phase 3, but in reality, we will need a partner eventually to go into phase 3.
Yeah, and partnership seems to be an important part of your strategy. What is the ideal partner for Saniona?
Well, the ideal partner for Saniona is one where obviously we are here to create shareholder value. So obviously a partner which is willing to pay for the value of the molecules, which we believe it has, but also a partner where we believe they have the strength to develop the assets quickly and commercialize it to get the highest market value. So because we both receive development commercial milestones, but also royalties. So obviously we want someone who's strong and can take it all the way fast and has the muscles to do it, and who will pay for the value that we believe it has.
Thank you, and time flies, so I think that's all the time we have for questions, but if you in the audience have a question here for Johnny, maybe you can grab him after. Thank you so much.
Thank you.